Good morning, everybody. I'll talk to you about three things maybe this morning. First, give you an introduction of my background. Secondly, I'll focus on Rogers as a company and what we're doing right now, what some of the opportunities are. And thirdly, focusing on a subsidiary called Essentia, which is a property fund quoted on the market. My name is Philippe Espitalier-Noel. I'm seventh generation born in Mauritius. I've been there forever. I've been raised there. I've done my first degree in South Africa at the University of Natal. I then did a postgrad MBA at London Business School and worked in London for a few years. I joined the Rogers Group in 1997 after spending a few years overseas. And I wear the cap also of a controlling shareholder of our holding company called ENL. So when I moved into Rogers in 1997, ENL, which I share as a holding company, my three brothers and myself control. In those days, therefore, the ENL group only owned 15% of the effective stake of Rogers. And I've been instrumental in reshaping the group over the best part of the last 10 years, and bringing the ENL stake to a level of 60%. Rogers, the ENL group manages about $1.5 billion worth of assets, of which $500 million is actually within Rogers and managed by me and my team. Rogers was created in 1899, so we like to say it is a bit more than 100 years young. Very diversified group of companies which have come through in a very active manner, very present in the entrepreneurial dynamism of the country, post-independence and pre-independence. Did a lot of good work in terms of innovation. Rogers was the founder of the national airline Air Mauritius, and Rogers remains today the second largest shareholder of a national airline. Rogers started the tourism industry in Mauritius, creating the first hotel under the banner of New Mauritius Hotel, which has now become the largest hotel group in Mauritius with assets in Seychelles also and in Morocco, overseas. Rogers did many other things, including developing the logistics part and the logistics hub of the business. We are the biggest logistics player on the island and probably the biggest loader of freight in the Indian Ocean. Rogers has done a number of developments in the real estate business recently, launching a fairly big fund on the market in 2008. I'll talk about it a little later on, called Essentia. We are also the second largest shareholder of the number one insurance company in Mauritius called the Swan Group of Companies, with a 28% effective stake. The insurance business runs general as well as life, asset management and stockbroking services. It manages about $1.2, $1.3 billion from the management angle of its asset management arm. We have a small IT business which is busy expanding and supporting the virtual part of what we do in our service lines. Over the last 10 years, Rogers has moved from a diversified conglomerate to become a service-focused based entity. Still very diversified, but we're no longer in any manufacturing nor any retailing side of the business. One of the biggest dimensions of change happened yet again in 2012, some 2 years ago, where we spun off the financial services arm of the business. And if one looks at the combined performance, the combined TRS of the entity that was spun off from Rogers, we've had in less than 2 years a TRS of some 55%. So we've done quite well. All shareholders have done very well. And it's allowed Rogers to also increase its focus on a narrower service line of business. The current asset base of Rogers under management is, as I said, $500 million. The net asset value of the business is $300 million. And we are trading at more than 40% discount with a market capitalization of $180 million. We've got a good growth story. The last financial year, we've had more than 20% growth in EBITDA, in PAT. And we're looking at a very strong growth possibility again in the next 2 years. We are building sufficient resources to actually grow the business further beyond Mauritius. We've established over the last 15 years some 52 small offices in 12 countries outside Mauritius, some on mainland Africa, Madagascar, Réunion on the islands, Mozambique, Kenya, South Africa. And we've got some businesses operating elsewhere for quite a long time now, namely in France, in Singapore, and in India. That's, if you want, the reach of a group. We are busy looking at opportunities for further development. The pipeline is fairly full. We have a very decentralized structure of management with specific boards and balance sheets to actually support each business line. So the arbitrage is actually being done at specific entity level. We run a modern governance structure with a non-family based independent chairperson who is also the head of corporate governance and audit. Even though we've got a strong family interest in the business, we prone modern, contemporary governance structures and philosophies, spend a lot on CSR, and have been actually acclaimed as, from a best practice point of view, by the United Nations regarding the work we've done in Mauritius to fight the progress of HIV, which is actually one of the few countries in the world where the rate of progress has actually decreased. So we've stopped our HIV program after 6 years, and we're now focusing, it's one of the reasons I'm here, on the actual degradation of our coastal environment, which is obviously with global warming and what we saw in the streets of New York yesterday, becoming an important dimension for Mauritius and small island countries. We will probably the market is looking at us as being illiquid. We have a small float with 2,000 shareholders, and we're busy looking at expanding that base and potentially, therefore, finding a way to narrow our discount to NAV, which we don't believe is fully justified, although the market is always right. We've got to do our work to make sure that is shifted. Just briefly on the Essentia story. Essentia was created in 2008, focusing on a yielding portfolio. It's the only vehicle which gives access to the property market in Mauritius. It's a full-fledged commercial property portfolio with 100,000 square meters, 100% rented, with inflation-indexed and turnover-indexed contracts which are fully in place. And we've had a TRS of about 110% since 2008, so about a bit more than 13% a year, approximately 4% dividend yield, and the 9% remaining on capital gains. The Essentia story keeps growing. It's a very efficient vehicle, given you don't have capital gains tax, you don't have tax on dividends, you don't have tax on transfer dues. And our parent company and ourselves, we're sitting on some 12,000 hectares of land base, of which we've dedicated 6% for development over the next 10 years. So we've got a big program of development, and the good thing about Mauritius is that if you transfer land across various subsidies, there's no transfer dues. So we've got a unique, very efficient structure with rare real estate assets, which is going to actually boost the future of Essentia. And we're going to go to market to actually raise further capital next year. We're creating a development fund for Mauritius, a subsidiary fund of $100 million, and a fund of $200 million to actually develop on mainland Africa. We got a lot of calls from players who actually want to partner with us and share our expertise with them. So that's our story. I think 2 interesting ones regarding Rogers as an opportunity for investment, and Essentia, both of which are looking to raise capital next year. Thanks.
Thank you, Philippe.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.